Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hope you're doing amazing. We're doing this at 11 o'clock in Eastern instead of the typical 3 o'clock. And as you know, it's just me by myself, as you can see. Amanda is a little under the weather and taking some time the next couple weeks just to recover and stuff. So anyway, that just means that you get more of me and more of our wonderful guests that we have here on the show. So, and don't forget, as you're listening, don't forget to hit that little thumbs up button, share, comment, all that fun stuff, because that really helps reach more people. And so if you have not already subscribed, of course, totally subscribe. Why aren't you subscribed, actually, to the show or the channel or whatever? Our YouTube, our Facebook, whatever it is. So today I want to introduce you to a guy I met who does very similar work as we do. And I'm going to learn his story, why he's in this industry. And what I thought was interesting is, and I'm just going to read his bio for you. So Brian Fleming used to be a police officer for 25 years. He took an oath to protect and to serve. He saw victimization. I'm sure he still sees it, right? Just in a different way. It was his job to uncover the truth and to bring the victim back to as whole as possible, right? Getting that victim back to as whole as possible. And that's what he did in his field of police work. Now he continues to see victimization in the financial world. And you'll learn from his story how maybe he even may have been a victim and he had no idea that he was. And that's why he moved into what he does now. He was a truth seeker then and a financial seeker now. And as you know, in our show, and if you haven't listened to our podcast episode that dropped today, you'll see another truth seeker, Lester Hemmel, that has some really amazing stuff from his Wall Street world into what he does now. Les is amazing. And then Brian has his personal story and why he's in this. So both of those episodes combined today are going to be amazing. So without further ado, let's invite Brian in. All right,
Good morning.
Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How about you hear me?
I do. Yeah, this is great. Now we're all good with that technical stuff. Right. So yeah. So thanks for joining us. I know that we've met through, I think, Facebook or something like that.
Probably.
And I'd love to know your story. Go back to, how you got into maybe that. Let's go back to your cop career.
Well, sure. I'll go back a little bit further. I've always been intrigued by money for some reason. I always believed that we should pay as little in taxes as we can legally. So I've always just dabbled into that and tried to understand things and along that line. Prior to police work, I did actually have my insurance licenses, but I realized back then knocking on doors to make a living wasn't as fun as kicking them in, so I became a cop.
Nice.
And now I'm back in insurance with kind of doing the same thing you do, and that's because I stumbled on this concept called the infinite banking concept, banking yourself, whatever you want to call it, and it blew me away. I mean, I did a lot of time of investigating, used my investigative skills, and I dug and I dug and I dug and I dug and I dug. And I'm like, holy cow. So I've gone from insurance to police work to back to insurance.
When you were in insurance in the beginning, what was your focus on before the police work?
It was mainly P&C, property casualty, gotcha. Home and auto. I mean, there was some life insurance and stuff in there, and I did learn some things about life insurance back then. One of the main things is we need it. We need life insurance. And I've always believed in life insurance. Yeah. I've had $1.5 million death benefit on me for a long, long time because it's my responsibility to take care of my family when I'm living and when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I was a police officer. My wife at the time, she gave up a career to stay home to raise her kids.
Yeah.
If I died, whether it's in the line of duty or any time, she would have been in a world of hurt. And life insurance takes care of that. She would have had time to grieve, had money to keep the kids going in school, college, etc. So I've
Yeah.
always believed in life insurance from my first experience in the field. Still do, always will. And now I just use life insurance as a tool to help people become wealthy too.
Gotcha. Well, and then as you were in your police career, did you ever see things that people, I don't know, you probably have crazy stories in that career. And oftentimes again, maybe connecting it to life insurance, oftentimes when I talk to people, they don't think they're ever going to die. A lot of them are like, yeah, I'm going to live and I don't need insurance because nothing's going to happen to me. Nothing is going to, I'm not going to need long-term care because nothing's ever going to happen. And do you ever like run across people where in your career as police work that, they intended to get into that world, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but we don't just like go into being a criminal, go into calling the cops, go into all of that. It's probably unintentional, a lot of things, right? Your stories there.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're a victim. No one intends or wants to be a victim.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, people think nothing's going to ever happen to me, whether it is a disability or an injury or death, or my house will never get broken into. I have a story with that in and of itself where, as a police officer, I was working late, third shift or whatever, and I came home and went to bed. And all of a sudden, my dog is growling. Never heard the dog growl. I'm starting to wake up, sand in my eyes, walk around, look what's going on, and hear this thud, pounding noise. Someone was actually trying to break in my back door while I was home sleeping. Now, I taught how to secure your door. I mean, you put 3-inch screws in a strike plate instead of this 5/8-inch screw, and that actually kept the burglars out. So yeah, anything can happen to anybody anytime.
Well, and that's really interesting. So you know this, you protect people, and then it still happened to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that from business owners, even financial professionals. One of the things I've always talked to when I talk to clients, I'm like, never trust an advisor that does not do what they say they're going to do, or don't own the products that they're telling you should own.
Right.
And I think for me, the best way to see if someone is really legit on what they're telling you to do with your money is, what are they doing with their money? And I think that, so that way I'm protected. I gotta be as much of a believer in what I'm doing than just selling it to somebody. And I think it's part of it is just, hey, it's part of being I don't know, that whole like being the business owner who doesn't shoe sell owner that has really bad shoes, or the financial fitness guy, or the fitness guy who is really fat. I'm like, well, I wouldn't really get advice from him.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably in your when you were in the police thing, I bet you had certain protections around your house that woke you up.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously things you can do, whether it's alarm systems, even a beware of dog sign, even if you don't
Yep.
have one, you can
Yeah.
put those in just as extra protections. I mean, obviously, I mean, again, if you put 3-inch screws in your strike plate, that's a big, big security benefit for you at a very low cost. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
things you can do to protect yourself, for
Yeah.
things like that, or anything in life.
Gotcha. So as you've moved on, and now you've retired from that, and you're in this new role, how did you end up back in insurance of all? I mean, you don't have to probably work as much in this if you don't want to, but how did you end up back in this role as opposed to, I don't know, a security guard or something in that profession?
Well, after 25 years of that, it was kind of done. I don't need to do that. I did a little stint in security, but it's interesting how I got back into this. You know, again, always been intrigued by money. There was I guess you can call it a financial entertainer guru of my day. His name was Charles Gibbons.
Mm-hmm.
A number of things he said, and I followed, were pay yourself first. I mean, that is our number one rule to get ahead
Mm-hmm.
financially.
Yeah.
If you make $1, you don't have $1 or $1.05, $1.10, $1.25 to spend like so many people. You have 90 cents or 85 cents or whatever it is. So I've always listened to him with that. I've lived my life to pay myself first, live within your means.
Yeah.
He also talked about owning a business, whether it's a small business. You could be the Avon lady. Now you got a business, and now you can write off your computer or things you couldn't write off otherwise and save on taxes. Real estate. I've been investing in real estate for 26 years.
Yeah.
And in that process of investing in real estate, I also ran a RIA, Real Estate Investors Association.
Mm-hmm.
And doing this all while as a police officer, and while running that a group, someone approached me to say, "Hey, I can help you build this thing." I'm like, "Okay, let's talk." And he had really, really good information. It's about a lot of things financial, not just real estate. Mm-hmm. So I teamed up with him, and I got onto a conference call. I was a club leader of his. I got onto a conference call with other club leaders to learn how to make this thing grow. Well, on that call, someone said what he did. No idea what he said, but it sounded really, really interesting. So I got off that call. I started Googling his name, Facebook his name. Were you just on that call? Yeah. What do you do? Bank on yourself. Oh, what's bank on yourself? Oh, that led to Last Chance Millionaire, a book that someone gave me at one of my meetings. And I just gone dig and dig. I mean, it was just one thing after another. And I found out the absolute, true, unbelievable value of a whole life insurance policy, because one other thing that Charles Gibbons was teaching me that I lived for 25 years plus, buy term, invest the difference, right? And I did. I lived my life by a 2-second soundbite until I decided to get off the rear end and see what the other side of the story is. And just whole process of just stumbling on this concept through changing my real estate, the format of my real estate club, led me to where I am today. And I'm so happy I'm here.
So it sounded to me that you got taught, hey, buy term, invest the rest, the soundbite, which is what a lot of people do. But yet you were on a journey and you were seeking to understand, seeking to learn.
As we all should.
Yeah. And never assuming that, hey, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, they all know it. So therefore I'm just going to, you did your own investigation.
Absolutely. And a lot of it.
And a lot of it. So what, and I feel like that's part of our challenge in our world is we do not investigate. We just assume at face value, oh yeah, Uncle Sam, the IRS, they're going to take care of me. Insurance companies, they'll take care of me. The police, they'll take care of me. All of that. And we never actually do our own due diligence or research to make sure that it's that what we think we know, we really know. Maybe. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, we're humans, and humans are lazy creatures. I mean, yeah, everyone's going to take care of me. My house isn't going to get broke into. I'm not going to be a victim of a crime, But when you look in the mirror, that's who's responsible for you, and that's who really's got to take care of you, and that's what we try to teach.
And I think that in our world today, I'm again a business owner, and one of the things I've learned is take 100% responsibility for everything. Even I hired a staff person in my former business, and someone they had an altercation with a customer actually, which is crazy. And I'm on vacation and heard about this and fired the employee because he was doing something clearly not right. And the customer was gone for a year. The customer came back a year later. And I was like, hey, I remember you. And I remembered. And I told them, that he's like, well, what happened, after that? And I said, well, we fired the guy. He said, well, and I said, I'm sorry for my part in that. And he said, well, you weren't even here. I said, well, the thing is I hired him. I was not here, and that was I take responsibility for that. And I think that when it comes, and I just share this story to you guys, when it comes to our finances, everything in life, taking responsibility for everything is going to get you further along than saying, well, it's this person's fault. Or even, again, the victim. Yes, it's some victim happens, like, right, you become a victim, but you don't have to stay a victim.
Right. Absolutely. Same thing with finances. I mean,
yeah.
We become victims because we don't know anything or everything, and we may not want to take the time to know everything. But when you start to know more, as we should always continue to always learn, it's an eye opener. It's a game changer when it comes to your finances.
What is something that you're just like, I know the infinite banking, we can talk about that a lot, but what is something you would tell, I don't know, somebody who's researching infinite banking, who's researching Bank on Yourself, who is like, wow, this is good. Is this a scam? I'm sure you've heard that one before. What would you tell them from your experience? Where would you tell them to go? That's one of the reasons I do videos, right? Because I'm like, hey, educate yourself.
Well, right. And I mean, they should be educated on this concept. We're already involved in the banking function in our life. You and I and others just teach people how to take that over in their own personal life. It's a paradigm shift, unfortunately, but it shouldn't be, because, again, we're already doing it. However, if someone stumbles on this or finds it and starts doing some research, before they want to or move forward with me, I still want to make sure that they have a good grasp of it, because they shouldn't move forward if they're not really getting it or understanding it. So yeah, when they a scam, this, that, the other thing. Well, right, anything is new or that's new seems to be a scam, or it's not the mainstream or whatever the case is. So we can't do that. Well, I'm guessing you know what a 45 is, and I'm not talking a gun. Do you know what a 45 is?
Tell us.
A vinyl record that back in my day, you have the hit song on one side and then you have something on the other side. I probably could have been called flip side, because I always wanted to hear the song that was on the other side, because the hit song is always on the radio, overplayed. We get bombarded with all this stuff over and over again, the hit song. I wanted to know what's the other thing? What else is going on out there? So that's kind of my mindset all the time, is just because everyone's doing it, everyone's listening to the hit song, does that mean the other side is bad or wrong? Not at all. Not at all.
Well, and I think that is so powerful, though, because I mean, I'm again, the reason I'm in this industry, I didn't like plan to go into life insurance and sell life insurance or infinite banking. This was not the lateral move I was thinking I would move into when we sold our business. It literally, if I would have known how much Dave Ramsey and all these people hate on it, I probably wouldn't have gone into it, actually. I just knew, and maybe I was naive. I knew that it made a huge difference in our life. We had watched a documentary called Banking with Life by James Netherly. And he's again, I don't know him personally, but I watched this video and I was like, how come we never knew about this? And why is it that we are, and as a business owner, I'm like, okay, invest in my 401k, divest my money to plan for retirement. Doesn't make sense to me. I need to invest in my business. And so, but I also needed some stability. And that's where we started our Bank on Yourself policies through my friend Mark Willis. And I have videos on that there. But we then use the policy over again, right, for stuff of life, emergencies, business opportunities, things like that. And when we sold the business, we were like, man, what are we going to do with life? And we felt like we had been changed by this concept that we needed to tell others about it. And our whole thing is, and why I think I wanted to invite you on, is about injustice. So we were in the coffee world because we saw injustice in coffee that was really bad. Like, when churches are all about like not having oppression, but then we buy Folgers coffee and oppress people by every Sunday. I'm like, this is stupid. Somebody needs to do something about it. And we ended up being those people. Then coming into this industry, I'm like, all right, the financial system is oppressive and evil, and there's so many things out there that are not very helpful. Other people, we need to know about it. And so that's how we ended up in this world. I'm sure that's similar in your trajectory. I bet you in your life too.
Absolutely. There is a statute, a municipal ordinance called obstructing the police, not giving them all the information or purposely telling them things that aren't true. And when I realized or kind of figured someone was doing that, I made it a real strong effort of mine to find out exactly what they're saying wrong so I could get them charged with that crime or ordinance. Well, we as people I'm not going to say we're purposely not given information or purposely lied to about stuff financially. Yeah. We definitely are not giving all the information. There's a lot more out there that we should know about, and the more you know about it, the better financial decisions you can make. So yeah, when I stumbled on this and did all the digging, it's like, yeah, people need to know about this. I'm shouting this from the rooftops. I need something to do when I'm done with law enforcement. And this is still a way to protect and serve and to help people, literally protect them with life insurance, have their dollars, each dollar get more than one use out of it, but have your dollar working more than one place at one time. It's just unbelievable when you start to take the time to think about it. There's a phrase out there that it says the reason we don't realize we've been lied to, conditioned, and brainwashed is because we've been lied to, conditioned, and brainwashed. Again, we're human. We're focused. We don't want to take these blinders off. But once you do, the world is out there for you, regardless of what the subject matter is.
So, and I see that and hear that as we take off the blinders or we learn, what would you say is good ways to learn in these fields? Like how have you learned? How have you figured out whether it's finance or other things? What strategies would you give people?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm going to go back to my real estate investment club when I was running that. When I was running the meetings, I would tell people, if you're looking to invest in real estate, you probably want to come to these meetings. Why is that? Because there's other people here doing that and or wanting to learn about it. You don't want to go to Uncle Charlie, who knows nothing about real estate, to ask him how to invest in real estate. So it's interesting, and I'm sure you run across it too. You'll talk to someone and they'll say, "Oh, I talked to Uncle Charlie." Well, what does Uncle Charlie know about this? Well, nothing. Well, why'd you go to Uncle Charlie? So talk to people who are actually doing it, and they don't even have to be insurance agents. You can definitely talk to them, but seek out others who are not agents who are using this concept. Ask your agent, your advisor who is talking to you for referrals. Say, "Hey, let me talk to a couple of your clients." There's plenty out there on YouTube, which is good, but it's also bad. So you got to weigh that out. But I'm sure both of us can direct people to various channels, yours or others, to get good information on this. And like I said, no matter what it is, you're always going to find something bad on everything. I mean, if you dig long enough and hard enough, you'll probably find something bad in Mother Teresa. So there's good and bad. There's two sides to every story. Look at both of them.
Well, I think you're absolutely correct. And what I kind of think about too, in this world of finance, and I think that um, there was a video that Dave Ramsey did a while back of why infinite banking is a scam,
Mm-hmm.
and took offense to it more so because he's like, yeah, all of this, and they're making so much money, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, definitely not true. And I know because I'm in those positions, and I felt and if people know my character, they know that that's not us, for sure. And I was like very upset about it, I guess, because I'm like, all right, this is just a soundbite thing that he's just trying to get clicks. And I know how marketing works. It's a lot of it is clickbait and all of that, and we don't know how to um, what do you call it? Sift through information.
Right.
Or seeing when somebody asks me a question, I won't maybe answer it. Like even on these YouTube videos, it's really hard to say how a policy is going to work specifically for you,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know your situation. I don't know your cash flow. I don't know a lot. And even whenever clients come through and they're like, yeah, I just want some numbers. I just want to see this work. What's my rate of return? All of these questions. I'm like, I can't answer that. And it gets people frustrated because they want a quick response.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, like you said, it's not a quick response.
Right. Right. And do they really know those answers in the other financial vehicles they're in either? So, but they seem to have this absolute answer for what we do. Going back to Dave Ramsey, I mean, it's good that he gets the conversation going with money.
Yep.
And that's a good thing. Unfortunately, again, people lob onto that or grab onto it, and it's like that's it. Buy term, invest the difference. If Dave says it, I got to do what Dave says. Let me ask you, Brandon, are you different than me?
Yes.
Is your neighbor different than you and my neighbor different than me?
Yes, exactly.
Are all four of us completely different in a lot of different ways?
Probably.
But Dave says everybody's got to do this. Everybody's the same financial.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Well, and the other thing I kind of think about it is building a solid foundation. So most everybody, and why the CARES Act gave us $100,000 of our 401k money without penalty, was because we have built a lot of upside down pyramids in our finances. And everybody is saved. Maybe a lot of people have saved in 401ks or in other things that they can access until they're 59 and whatever. Won't go into that. But then a pandemic happens globally that affects people needing money for a short term. Now, here's the thing I've thought about. You ever heard of black swan events?
No.
So a black swan event is something.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So like an event that happens outside of your control that adjusts everything. I would say the Lehman Brothers thing in 2008, black swan event. COVID, black swan event. A barge getting stuck in a canal and stopping all of our trade, another one, and a hurricane in Louisiana. It doesn't affect me so much, but it affects them. Would you think that there's going to be? I don't know. I mean, I know you're in correct protection. Do you think we'll experience more black swan events in our lives?
Absolutely. I mean, they're not going to stop.
And yet, for me, the reason I think it's why I asked this question is if we put our money into things that we can't access when a black swan event happens, not if it happens, when it happens, wouldn't we want to be ready for it? Like I had a flood that happened again in my basement 2 weeks ago
Mhm.
because of a freak storm, and I'm like, all right, this happened again. There's some things I can do to protect my house, right? However, I got to have the funds to make things back up. That's what
Mhm.
insurance is about.
Right.
So that's one of the cool things. How as you've been diving into this world, what has been your biggest pushback um, in your story or in general that you just keep seeing and you're like, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to get past this? Why are we past this already?
That's a great question. I'm going to go back to real estate investing again. I mean, when I was running this club, we had speakers come in, and real estate investors are always about self-directed IRA, self-directed IRA, self-directed IRA. Cool, those are fine,
Yeah.
and you're making money in real estate. But what else are you doing with your money? Aren't you still participating in life? Aren't you financing things and whatever?
Mm.
So I'm having a hard time getting across to at least to my local real estate agents or investors about this. I was actually at a different real estate investor meeting maybe a year ago or so. The topic was how to fund your real estate deals. So they had different lenders up there talking about what they offer, and one guy said, I've been investing in real estate for 13 years, but I decided to be the bank. Amen! I shouted from the back of the room, because we understand what banking is and how it works. You want to be the
Yep.
bank. I mean, these
Yep.
real estate investors, they borrow money from a hard or private money lender at 10, 12, 14%, some points, but they don't want to learn how to do that. I mean, it just baffles my mind.
Right.
So again, it goes back to all the conditioning that we've been, conditioned to think, and where you just don't want to take the blinders off and see what else is out there.
Well, and what does that say? Mark Twain says a bank is a person that lends the umbrella when it's sunny outside, but wants it back when it's raining.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think that right now we're in a kind of a heyday with real estate. I think that
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be interesting what transpires here in the future when it comes to real estate. I don't know where it's going to end up, how it's going to end up. But I also want to have as much control in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being the bank. I mean, and I also don't think that you start there. Some people think, well, I got to have all this money
Right.
right up front. So what would you tell somebody who's like, I really like, maybe I want to be a banker. Um, how do you tell them to get started, or they want to get into real estate, but then they think they need to put all their money into real estate? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, a lot of people say, well, yeah, I want to do this so I can buy a car. Well, it's not designed to start today and buy a car tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It is designed, you could start using it right away if you want to. And that would probably be to pay off debt. I mean, we all probably
Yeah.
have debt. But if you don't, we do have to understand we finance everything we buy.
Yeah.
You pay up interest to somebody else, or you give up interest by taking your money away from the compounding process. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. The ninth wonder is the uninterrupted compounding. And what we teach and do for people is they have their money compounding uninterrupted forever and ever and ever. And it's going to even be guaranteed. So why not have that process going? I mean, I tell people you can start with as little as $5,000 a year to do this, maybe a little bit less if you really have to or need to, but the sky's the limit. You can put as much into this system as you want to, and start small. But we have to start small. You are here today, you just start where you're at and let it grow to where it's going to be. And once you do this and have capital, money in your policy, opportunities find you. I mean, I'm actively seeking places to put my money to work, because I've decided to use infinite banking as my storehouse, my warehouse for cash. And now I have money capital to use to put to work, as well as it in my policy at the same time.
Well, and the other thing I think I want to address here, people will say, well, yeah, but I'm putting it in the market. Isn't that uninterrupted compounding growth? What would you say to
No, well, no. Every time there's a loss,
Mm-hmm.
every time you have it kills you financially. And a loss could be taking it out. A loss
Yep.
could be a drop in the market. I
Yep.
mean, people think, well, if I lose 50%, which has happened in the market, I have to gain 50%. Well, no, you have to gain 100% just to get back to even. And then you
Well,
hopefully
and
get some
plus
growth.
a little more than that.
Right, right. Yeah. So, yeah. The
Yeah.
tortoise
So,
beat the hare. The tortoise beat the hare. I mean, we're the tortoise,
yeah.
So.
Well, and I wanted to mention that because people tell me, well, you put it in the market because of compounding, and I again thinking some of it's in the market. You want some there, maybe, but really volatility and sequence of returns can really impact your future. And do you really want to gamble with that? Maybe a 2008 happening again, or 2020, when you're ready to retire or live on the beach or whatever. I think that most people don't even think about that. They just look at going up the mountain and not thinking about that whole system of money.
Right. Right. You're right. And the market, I mean, any investment has risk. You can lose a little, a lot, or all your money. Now, I just said I'm actively looking for places to put my money to work in an investment.
Yep.
Can I lose money in that investment? Sure, but it's still going to grow inside my policy, and then I'll just put it back in there when time comes, and I can earn my money back, whatever the case is. I think we can both say that what we help people do is put a jet engine behind everything they do financially, everything, because when it goes through a policy first, it's always growing for you there as well as where it's going to go elsewhere to work for you.
Yeah. I think that is a powerful thing. Again, if you guys want more about volatility, listen to our podcast episode that just dropped today, Lester Hemmel. He actually, Les, worked on Wall Street, worked with, the guy who created the IUL policies, actually. And has some real math and numbers behind that. So check that episode out for sure, because you're going to love it. And Brian, you're going to love it too, I bet you.
Anything about IUL? I got to learn more about IUL, but don't get me started on those right now.
Oh yeah, I don't do a lot with them and plan to, because I feel like I'm kind of mixing the worlds, and I don't want to. I want to make sure that my clients, what I say I'm going to do for them, I do. And I think that's a powerful thing. Now a couple things I'm really thinking about here is, you mentioned, this whole protection, which is insurance. Like, the reason life insurance was even invented was to protect widows and orphans, right? And what would you say to the husband who thinks they're going to live forever? And what do you see out there in the retirement world right now?
Well, we know no one's going to live forever, and I try to be as nice as I can, but sometimes you just might need to be blunt. If you really love your family, you should have life insurance and kind of plenty of it. Give your family time to grieve. Let them be able
they
to.
say, well, I got plenty of term insurance. I'm only 55. I'll be able to self-insure.
It's all good till it's not. I mean, regardless, we hear that all the time. But matter of fact, I just saw a friend on Facebook post that he's got term insurance. It's about to expire. He's about 55 years old and he's not sure what to do. So I reached out. I said, I'm glad to talk to you, see if I can help you. But yeah, term insurance is for a specific term or time period. When it expires, you're probably not expired or you're still living. So now you need more insurance, which is going to be more expensive. So you maybe should have had a mix of term and whole life way back in the beginning, but it is what it is. You start here, you start now.
Yeah. And then, so you said, hey, start where you're at. That's what you mentioned. And you can't go backwards. One of my biggest things that people say once they get it, it takes them a while to get it and understand. And then it even takes them a little while, a couple years into it. They're like, oh, wait, now I get it. And then they start buying more and more policies. And then they say, man, I wish I would have known about this 20 years ago, 30 years ago. What do you say to the younger person who they think, again, they're invincible right now, and they'll wait and do this in 20 years or 5 years or 2 years?
You know, and that thought process is probably mainly about the life insurance side of it. However, when we talk to people that in that age group, we should ask them and talk to them about, well, do you want to really work until 65 or 70, or do you want to start building a money machine so you can do things, retire earlier if you want to, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not all about just life insurance, but it's a way to put your money somewhere, to reuse, recycle your money. And the more you do that, the more money you have.
Yeah. How have you reused and recycled your policy?
I've used it to rehab my rental properties. I've bought in cars through it, funded college a little bit from one of my daughters, and pay off debt. So instead of, and we have to be honest bankers, as Nelson Nash talks about. I took a loan against my policy to pay off $2,143 of credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
They were charging me 15.48%, whatever it is. So I made sure I paid my policy loan back 15.48%. And people are going to say, well, that's kind of silly. Why are you paying yourself so much? Because I'm more important to me than they are. If I was willing to pay them 15.48%, I'm more than willing to pay myself that plus. So I just do that and recycle. Now I got that $2,100 back in my system to use again, instead of just having it go onto the credit card, never to see it ever again.
So you knew your numbers, because I feel like sometimes I would have clients that are like, oh, I took care of this debt, I don't need to worry about that loan anymore. And it's okay. And their cost of living, meaning their lifestyle, increases, and they can get back in the same position. What you're saying is, again, it's still a loan. It is making money because it's the non-direct recognition type company. It's growing, but you want to still be a good banker to yourself, is what you just said, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What tools do you put in place to help people make sure they're good bankers? Do you just say, here's an Excel sheet? How do you guide them?
No, I'm Excel and me don't get along very well, so I'm not going to do it that way particularly. But I tell them how I do it, and even if I was an Excel nerd or the way I do it, everyone's going to do things their own way. I'm just giving a starting point. So what I do when I take a loan out is I just a simple amortization calculator you can get anywhere. Put in your terms, how much the loan is for, what the interest rate is, and how long it's going to take you to pay it back. And that's one of the things that's so interesting and powerful about this concept. Those all are your numbers. You decide those, not somebody else to tell you when and how and to pay this, and if you don't, what happens. So I just do that. I print out the amortization table, and then every month I just check it off, because it comes right from my checking account back into my policy. So I put it on my calendar, time to check off my loans, and that's my record keeping.
Yeah.
It's not very convenient. However, we pay for convenience, and we pay a lot for convenience. And I tell a story. I had to stop one night to get a gallon of milk on the way home from an outing. I could have went to Walmart, big parking lot, big store, cooler way in the back corner, get my $2 gallon of milk. Well, I went to the convenience store. Convenience, small lot, small stores, go right to the cooler. $4, double the cost. Wow. Well, it's convenient. So was swiping a credit card and having everyone take care of the record keeping for you. But it's very costly.
Well, and I think that, again, I look at this 401k thing that's experiment out, and a lot of my clients that I've been dealing with lately, it's been having to figure out mom. Dad passed away, mom is left. They had some 401k money, but they are like, all right, now I have to take care of her. She's still living. But her faculties are not as strong as before. And I'm seeing that a lot more. And I just see this 401k experiment, along with taxes and everything else, going up. And I think that as I'm in this world, I'm like, we have some of the answer. But yet we love convenience, and on the rise with the 401k was the rise of the banking system that said, here's a credit card, in the 80s and 70s. It wasn't as prevalent where you could just get anything for free pretty much. And it's not free. It actually cost us. And you can look at the savings rates versus what it was in grandma's generation to what it is now. That's why we call ourselves Grandma's Wealth Wisdom.
Right.
What would you say to somebody maybe starting out of how they should budget? Being not a big Excel person, I'm not either actually. How would you say you should set up things? And also on the flip side, what's your thoughts on the difference between savings and investing?
Well, we'll start with that. They're obviously completely different, savings and investing. So many people say I'm saving in my 401k. Well, actually, no, you're investing in your 401k because it's market driven. And, anything in the market's an investment. Savings are guaranteed, like a savings account.
Yeah.
No risk. So you got very little growth, but there's a big difference, big difference.
Yeah.
So people have to understand that. But to start, again, pay yourself first. If you make $1, you get 90 cents to spend. What do you do with the 10 cents? Have a segregated account. You're not going to touch it, whatever it may be. And then, start using it for that to put it elsewhere, whether it's a policy or something else. But pay yourself first, as well as always incorporate these things, other expenses and other investments and things you can do with your money with what you make. Don't just think that every time you have $1, you have to spend it all.
Yeah. And that, I think there's a couple things you said that I really like. The idea of pay yourself first. That is a profit first. As you guys know, we're profit first certified. That is the whole building block of profit first. Pay yourself first as the business owner. Put profit first, so then and then run your business from that, making sure taxes and all that, and you allocate those in separate accounts. Like that's how profit first works. And then you mentioned again, pay yourself first is that book, Richest Man in Babylon. I believe it should be required reading for every person, and especially in schools, because it's a storybook, right? And I think it should be required for every person as a financial literacy course. Anyway, Richest Man in Babylon, really good. That's one of the tenets of the Richest Man in Babylon is pay yourself first.
Well, what should be required in schools is financial education. I saw a post recently on Facebook where it was that if you had to go back, what would you really have wanted to have learned back at school? Almost everyone responded, finances. I wanted to learn about money, more than I do and everything.
Well, and why do you think that they don't teach? I have my theory, but I'd love to hear your theory as a person who's been in the police world and all of that. Why do you think they don't teach that?
I don't want to. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I actually volunteered for an organization where I went into high schools and taught some basic financial stuff. But I don't know if they just don't want us to know and we have to follow some other system. I don't know, but they really, really should. And I'm sure there would be an awful big push and a lot of people receptive to telling their school boards, start putting this in there.
Yeah. So here's my theory is they make a lot of money off of loans.
Yeah, they do.
And the banking system and the cost of education keeps going up like a lot, just like medical expenses. And the more confusion that we have around it, the more that they win. There's a marketer called Donald Miller, and he says, if you confuse, you lose. And we want to make our businesses clear and simple so that people know what we're doing and buying and all of that. And then it's also interesting whenever people come through us, they want clarity and they want all this stuff, yet they'll put their money in a 401k, they'll put their money into a bank account, and they have no qualms about it.
Right.
because that's what it is. And the whole thing about taxes, your 401k, the market, it's very confusing. And if you confuse, you lose. And most people are so confused that they're losing. And then I go into like, even I took the life and health, like the life side of, or the health side of things. And I was like, holy crap, I'm confused and I'm studying this. This is very confusing of how to figure out Medicare, Medicaid. And you think about an 85-year-old trying to figure that out. No wonder we're screwed.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, again, their banking is a big business, and you can go into any bank or credit union. You can't pull anything off a shelf or buy it. What do they have? They're selling you money. They're selling you my money, making more money on my money than I'm making on that they're giving me. Why don't we just learn how to take that function over?
It's the most profitable business in the world, right?
Right. Right.
What else would you like to leave our listeners with as you were landing this plane?
No.
Somebody calling you?
Yeah, it's my daughter, so I'm going to have to go. It sounds like she's in a little distress.
Oh, gotcha.
Daughters are important. So, all I want to say is get out of your own way and start looking, because we need to take care of ourselves. I mean, get out of your own way, take the blinders off, and see what else is out there. You'll be amazed.
And how can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
My website is www.financialfortressbuilders.com. Financialfortressbuilders.com. I build a fortress around people's finances so they don't have to worry about losing money if they don't want to.
Let me see if I have that there. I know you got to run here,
yes.
But I want to put that in the show notes so we can make sure that people, if they want to reach out further, like, not everybody is a good fit to work with me.
Right.
Not everybody's a good fit to work with Amanda, but you might have found that Brian, he speaks your love language of police stuff. I don't know. And so you want to reach out to him, totally reach out to him at financialfortressbuilders.com and check him out on Facebook and all of that. So, and again, don't forget, go like, subscribe, hit the bell for more awesome content. And if you need anything from us, go to Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, click that meeting to schedule a meeting. We'd love to chat further. Thanks, Brian, for being here. Go take care of your daughter. I know that's important. And really appreciate you being here, and keep changing people's lives.
You too. I appreciate you having me on, and great to talk.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a great one. We'll talk soon.